Hello, fourth grade. Today in art, we are going to learn about artist Jen Aranyi and her landscape work. This is a black and white picture of one of her artworks. Jen Aranyi is a watercolor nature artist and graphic designer. Her artwork is heavily influenced by nature and the world around her. She typically shows landscapes with brightly colored night skies that have dotted stars and constellations. Her work inspires people. I was hoping that you would be able to see a time-lapse video of Jen making one of her drawings and paintings. I hope you enjoyed it if you were able to see it, if it was able to be found and played. But in this video, I'm going to show you some simpler steps on how to make one of her landscapes, because we are going to make an inspired piece by her and do a landscape of our own using some of her techniques. You're going to have a few options on how to finish and add details to your landscape, and I will explain that as I go. So you're going to be using a pencil to start with. I will do mine in marker so it'll show up better. To start your landscape drawing, and we are only going to do the landscape drawing part today. We are not going to be adding the watercolor. We're going to do that next time when we have art class. So you're going to draw your mountainscape, and that's just to draw a zigzag, jaggedy line. You don't want to make your mountains too close together. You don't want to make them too far apart. You're going to just kind of go right across from one side of your paper to the other. I've got 1, 2, 3, and this is another peak, but it's off my paper. Okay, so I've got my mountain, the very outline of them on my paper. Then you are going to need to add where the shadow is going to be on your paper, on your mountains. So to do that, you're going to follow along wherever you have a dip in your mountain. You're going to continue that a little bit further down and then come back up kind of in a jaggedy, wavy way to the peak of the mountain next to it. All of this area right here is going to become where the shadow is. So you're going to start by going down a little bit when you find a dip. Then you're going to come back up. You don't want to come back up perfectly straight because this is a mountain, it's nature. No lines are going to be perfectly straight in nature. And then you're going to come back down. Now this mountain, I'll move my paper over a little bit so you can see, this mountain is off the page, but I can still tell where the peak would be, so I'm just going to go right up as if it continued, okay? This mountain, my dip is here, so I'm going to add it just like the other ones, so that every peak on my mountain has an area on the left side where the shadow is going to be. Now, Jen Aranyi, she used straight lines in her example that I just showed you and that you saw in the video. So, we're going to add some straight lines in the shadow side of our mountain. You're going to keep your lines close together, and they're all going to go in the same direction. You're not going to do checkerboard, you're not going to do crisscross, you're just going to do straight lines. There is another option that you can do for this section of your landscape. If you would like to, instead of using straight lines that you would do with your Sharpie, you may use your pencil and shade in these shadow areas and use your finger to smudge your pencil so that it looks like a nice shaded in area. So that's another option that you can do if you would rather try to do some shading. The next step is going to be to add a little bit of detail on the other side of the mountain. Because mountains, they have dips and crevices. So I'm going to just add a few organic shapes that are smaller. And these are going to be some more places of shadow. So I'm going to add more lines inside these shapes, just like I did on the main shadow side. So if you choose to do shading with your pencil, then do shading with your pencil in these as well. If you choose to do the lines, then do the lines in all of your spots. The next step to your landscape is going to be to add a horizon line. A horizon line divides the ground and the sky. It's a horizontal, and it's going to go from one side of your paper all the way to the other side, but you're not going to touch your mountains with it. If you have enough room at the bottom of your paper, you can add another horizon line. And these lines do not have to be straight. They can have a little bit of a wave to them. They can be a little bit at an angle. This one I did is a little bit more at an angle. Now you can choose also to leave your horizon lines blank or to add some trees. You can map out where you want to put your trees, but the trees that are on the first horizon line need to be taller than the trees that you put on the back horizon line, because these trees are closer to you. They are in the foreground. These ones are further away. If you are able to see the video of Jen Aranyi doing her artwork, you can also choose to do the little river that she made in her example. I'm just adding some straight lines that are getting longer as they come down so that the tree looks like an evergreen tree. I'm trying to keep my trees that are behind my foreground trees smaller in size than the ones in the front. When you do your horizon lines, don't do more than 4 lines. We are going to be cutting this out next time we have art, and then gluing that down onto a piece of painted background paper that we will do with watercolor. Now, Jen did not do that with her artwork. She does it all on one piece, but we are going to do it on 2 pieces so that we can keep our drawing part nice and clean and white and not have any drips or splatters happen on it. After you make your drawing with your pencil, you're going to use your Sharpie marker to trace over all your pencil lines. Don't use your Sharpie to color in. If you chose to do pencil shading, leave it as a pencil. You're just going to Sharpie the main lines of your mountain and your horizon and your trees. Don't color solid with your Sharpie on any parts on your paper. You're going to hand your paper, make sure your name is on the back in pencil. You're going to hand your paper to the teacher, and then if there's still time before it's time to clean up and leave, you can do free draw paper, which I labeled on the shelf by the windows, or you can get some color sheets, pick a color sheet to color at your table until it's time to leave. Next time we have art together, we're going to be doing a watercolor background for our Jen Aranyi landscapes, and we're going to put everything together, and I can't wait to see what drawings you come up with, what details you decided to add, and how you decided to do your shading. I hope to see you next time in art class. Bye for now.